Allie Provost reporting live from my handmade home in New York City. Bam! I am a blogger and a photographer based here in New York City. My type of photography and my style is very colorful, very fun, whimsical, and of course that is translated into my fashion style as well. I always loved fashion since the beginning of time, but when I got to college, I started working part-time for Kate Spade. And that was really where I was able to express my personal style, mixing prints, having a lot of fun with color, in a way that I never could have before. And I just stopped caring about it being socially inappropriate to wear a ball gown to go get my bacon, egg, and cheese bagel. I just didn't care. I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear a tulle skirt to brunch and no one can say anything. I remember when I first was trying to document my outfits, I was terrified to post my first mirror selfie. I remember I went up to my boss and was like, can you go like this on Instagram? Because I was so terrified, but it was really fun and I just got a lot of good feedback and I really just kept doing that, and they were my work outfits, so no one really could say anything. I really wanted my living space to be almost a direct representation of my personal style. But when dealing with the interior decor space, it is very different than just trying to pick out an outfit because your design is much more permanent and things last much longer versus an outfit. If I don't like it, I can change it in the afternoon and it's fine. I move on with my day. But when you're looking at a couch, you're thinking, okay, am I gonna love this striped couch 4 years from now? Is it still going to stand the test of time? And I felt a lot of weight when putting things together. And so thankfully I hired a designer to read my mind essentially. I said, take my personal style and please translate it into my space because I can't navigate this the way that I want to. She really just took my Instagram, took my closet and transformed my space to look like this. I've always been an old soul. I would much rather go to tea time than go out to a bar and go crazy. So even when it comes to my style, I love pieces that will stand the test of time and I'll look back 10, 15 years from now and still love and cherish. Some people might describe my style and apartment as Grandmillennial, which is basically this movement where we are taking pieces from our grandparents' time and making them contemporary and making them updated and fun in a way that still honors the original pieces, but throwing in some millennial pink and some fun colors in there. I love the fact that we painted my ceiling. I think that is a wall, in a sense, that everyone really forgets about. And the fact that we painted it a darker color adds a lot of visual interest, really adds dimension to the space. I remember when my designer sent me the deck, I was like, oh, we're painting the ceiling. And she was like, yes. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. And she's like, it's very much a thing. Honestly, wherever I go, there will be at least one room that will always have the ceiling painted. Thankfully for this studio, I do have a lot of closet space. I do have a very large, I call it a step-in closet because it's not a true walk-in, but I am able to step into the closet. So these are really cool and they hold my sunglasses. They're actually nail polish holders. And I just command stripped them to the doors. So this is my entryway table. I really love it because it's the perfect introduction to the rest of the space. It allows for some decorative display here. I love these glass cases that allow me to both have function and also pretty to look at the same time. So I have some vintage pieces in here, some photos, and then on the actual table here, I love these hands that hold my keys. It's just the perfect way to say, take a load off, welcome home. It's very welcoming and they're just so fun. I also love having one handbag on display. So yes, this is a handbag. So this is my office. This is pretty much where I do all of my work. I come home at the end of the day. This is where I upload photos, I write my blog posts, and it really is an inviting space. It's comfortable. I have to say my desk chair here is the most comfortable desk chair. Above my desk, I also have some more storage. One of my favorite pieces is actually this. It's actually a prop that I had made for one of my first viral TikTok videos, and it's so sentimental to me that I just have to put it on display. And it's actually a Starbucks cup that I taped a Tiffany logo on. as it was a play on a influencer's day in the life here in New York City, where it was a joke about getting coffee at Tiffany's. So of course, Tiffany's wasn't open at the time, so had to make do. Being a fashion blogger, fashion is obviously a part of my job and my everyday. So I have to have a little bit of overflow from my closet here. And my favorite part about this section is actually this gown here. It was, to date, the best sample sale find I've ever found. It was such a statement piece, and in true sample sale fashion, it was for a model. It was a true sample, and I took it to my tailor, and she just completely reconstructed the dress, so now I can freely frolic Central Park in. So my living area setup, I'm very thankful that I can at least fit a full-size couch here. The fact that I'm able to fit this in a studio is a miracle in itself. So I wanted to make the living area a very intentional living space so that I could kick my feet up and relax at the end of the day. This is actually a television, which is probably my favorite thing about this living area because it's made to look like it's a picture. It doesn't stick out too much like a regular TV. I'm able to put a screensaver and it's actually my photo. So this is where I store a lot of my vintage jewelry. These earrings, I love having a dedicated space for them. And they're all costume jewelry. None of them are any fine jewelry, but the vintage pieces were definitely made at a higher quality than they are now. So anytime I can snag something vintage, I do in a heartbeat. In New York, I have to just embrace the fact that my storage has to be in the middle of my living room. It is how it is. I have tons of shoes in here. They're pretty much separated by color. This is definitely the more colorful side. And you know, when you have cute shoes, why not? Like, you can't say no to a bow, right? So, right? Honestly, nothing makes me feel more powerful than a fabulous pair of shoes. Like, to me, putting on a pair of shoes, you can just conquer the world. I'll be wearing sweatpants and I'll try on like a glitzy pair of heels and I'm like, oh, me in these shoes? Cool. For me, fashion is never something that needs to be taken seriously. It is meant to express your personality and your individual style. It is ridiculous sometimes to wear a giant bow on your head. I get it, but it brings me joy, and you know what, a lot of times it brings everyone else joy. Do what makes you happy with fashion, and everyone will be turning their heads in a good way. So this shelf here I use to display a lot of my purses, and there actually may be more bags than you think, because a lot of these are what are called novelty bags, which are bags that are not supposed to look like bags. These book clutches, they're not books, they're actually clutches. I didn't know that. Yeah. I can't help but merchandise everything, and I have like shoes hanging off of a bag, very much an ode to my past retail life. The way I worked with my designer to separate the spaces is by creating very distinct areas through the rugs. So I have 2 rugs, one in my living area and one in my bed area, and that really does a good job of dividing the spaces without a physical divider. So my bed area is one of my favorite spots in the apartment, and I love the fact that we did this statement wallpaper on the back. And we layered that with this photograph by Sharon Core. It is a photograph that's made to look exactly like a Wayne Thiebaud painting. The perspective, the scale, everything tried to be matched, and just thinking about the craft that went into creating that photograph spoke to me so much, and so that's why it's just proudly hanging above my bed. Being a photographer, I couldn't have my first piece be a painting or any other medium. It had to be a photograph, and it was really difficult finding something that matched my personality, and I thought this piece was whimsical and fun and still colorful. It does make me really want to eat cake all the time though. But I guess this way I can have my cake and eat it too. So, keeping with the handbags on display theme, we have more handbags on display. Like this one here is actually a handbag. I think it's just so fun to keep layering in different patterns, and the stripe of the dresser here really ties in with the stripe of the couch in the living area, and just the subtle details of the flower adds a lot of fun and youthfulness to the piece. On top of the dresser, we have really fun vintage pieces, which I love. This hat actually belonged to my mom pretty much when she was my age. She used to wear it to brunch all the time and called it her brunching hat. with any small space, you want to make it feel bigger, and one of the easiest ways to do that is through mirrors. So having a mirror above my dresser really allows light to bounce around to make the space feel much larger than it actually is. And on either side of the mirror, I have these 2 lamps. These are such a fun piece, and it's funny because even though my apartment is very pink, there aren't actually a lot of pink furniture pieces. So these lamps are one of the few pink moments that I have in the furniture. Hats are a really interesting thing to try to store because a lot of them are really delicate, and as a result, they take up a lot of space. So hanging them is really the best option, especially for me where I have a lot of them and I don't have enough space to store them all laying flat. So I just decided to dedicate one section of the apartment to be my hat wall. And they're very glamorously hung by fabulous nails here. But something like this is a hat that I wear all the time, you know, it just really adds something to the outfit. I just love the hats that are like off to the side. I am obsessed with this, to say the least. It is a piece of art in itself. It's made by a Black female-owned business in Brooklyn. She hand does all of these pearls and the crystal around the head of the hat. And it just, if this doesn't say, take me to the Queen's tea party, I don't know what does, right? It's really fun to wear. It is heavy. You get a workout while wearing it, but it is so fabulous, so worth it. So the kitchen that absolutely never gets used is really large for New York City standards. The fact that it's separated off from the rest of my space is a luxury in itself. And I really wanted to add my personal art piece in there, so I did a self-portrait called Under the Influence that makes a lot of subtle and some not so subtle references about the influencer industry, as well as a reflection on myself. And I'm really proud of it, and I really wanted to make sure I showcased it in my space. The fact that I don't take my space and my style too seriously, it really allows people to be invited in and have fun and relax. And I want people to feel happy and joyful and playful and just a space where you just walk in and you smile. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Handmade for more home tours like this. Pew pew!